two. We're made up of my person was appointed leader, Zach Smith, Kaylin Kirshner, myself, Matthew Carroll, and someone who's
Josh.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for joining us. We have Josh with us. We've also done this in collaboration with our Brazilian partners, Ana Olivia Mascarini, Lucia Esbatier Maranya, Juliana Rodriguez, Ana Luisi Martihinago, Fernando Enrique Silva, and Edidice de Salsa. Our mission is through the process of working collaboratively with our classmates along with our Brazilian teammates to learn about the process of international management, which we've certainly done, while also gaining a further understanding of the country of Brazil beyond just the geography. Brazil is a country in South America, north of Argentina, and beyond the stereotypes, which we'll get into next. When people think of Brazil, a lot of people think it might be a third world country simply due to its location. People don't understand that countries in the South America, especially Brazil, are actually have well-developed economies. People sometimes think of these people as jungle dwellers, and they think Brazil is a violent place where men have to fight for survive, and they don't have time to treat women nicely, and nothing but violence. They all look Hispanic because it's in the South, and people from the South are Hispanic. The women are all promiscuous and wonderful looking. They speak Spanish, and if you think of Brazilian culture, you think of samba dancing, soccer, naked beaches, and a jungle. This isn't true. What is true is that Brazilians are actually amazingly friendly people who are open to making friends, and they're very unshy, unlike me. Also, women actually aren't that promiscuous at all. Since the majority of the country is Christian, women are actually quite conservative socially, and the only reason they wear light clothing is due to the fact that it's really hot there. Brazilians are definitely not poor, as we'll get into further into our presentation with the economy slide. Their economy has been growing for the past 15 years, aside from 2008, which was the global financial collapse, so nobody really grew around that point. But other than that, their economy has continued to grow throughout the past 10, 15 years. Now, when you think of Americans, you categorize Americans into separate groups, kind of like the groups you sat at with the lunch table in high school. You think they call them, if you ever watched the show Sex and the City, the Carrie Bradshaw groups, which are middle-aged women hunting for something in life, something to make their lives more exciting. Also, when you think of, especially New York City, you think of the standard suit and tie businessman you see if you watch the news where they just show people walking, where he's walking to work. And a lot of generalities and assumptions made about this businessman is that, oh yeah, he's going to make a lot of money. He's really smart. He knows what he's doing. But he's a boring person. He's going to die alone. How can he get a girlfriend? He doesn't have a personality. Come on now. He's going to die alone, and because he's a greedy, money-grubbing scumbag, he can go to hell along with the politicians and lawyers. And then, to the contrary of the businessman, there's that really annoying romantic couple that, in this case, seems to hold hands everywhere as if they were glued together, even while riding bikes. You see these two, couples that are in love, and eventually they're going to get married and start to hate each other.
That's technical.
Another stereotype of America, especially yet again in the city, is the glamorous model. Now, these models are very good looking. They're just gorgeous, but they're not nice. In this, it says they have to brush with lemon-flavored toothpaste because they only smile if they want something. They wear their 5-inch heels wherever they go and simply use their looks to get what they want and don't have any brains. And another stereotype, especially in the New York City area, is the rapper. People think if you go on a subway in New York City, you're eventually bound to find a group of young black males in fitted hats and baggy jeans rapping, and the best response to this is to just turn up your iPod and tune them out. These, of course, aren't true. America has been known as one of the most diverse countries in the world and open to all types of people. Americans sometimes, it wasn't mentioned in this, are thought of as arrogant, but they are a very generous people who are willing to look at people beyond their background, religion, ethnicity, and so forth, in order to give them an opportunity to work to earn a living in our country. And this isn't directly associated with the topic, but I have a friend who I work with from Jamaica, and I always like to ask him to get his outside view of America, kind of the view of America from someone who isn't from here, to see what he thinks. And I said, "Why'd you come here?" He said, "Well, it's the old saying, you know, this place is the land of opportunity." And they still think that. All my friends from Jamaica want to come here. I came here when I was 19 by myself, and I like it here. I don't want to go back. And he said, "I might want to go back on vacation, but that's about it." In products, a successful product of Brazil is an airline named Azul. Now, David Neilman, who founded the airline JetBlue, which if you know JetBlue, you know they give you flights for cheap prices, he decided to bring that to Brazil, and he tweaked it a little bit to fit his home country. This is a staggering statistic to me. A quarter of his flights on his airline cost less than a bus trip the same destination. So the same path, it's cheaper to fly in an airplane than take a bus. I mean, I'm taking an airplane in that price. It gives the common citizens of Brazil access to the convenience of airline transportation at the amazingly cheap price. A successful American product, well, this is obvious. How many of you have a smartphone?
Not me, man.
Exactly. The smartphone has just captivated American audiences, and the technology for it started back in the early 90s with some early models, and really got rolling in the early 2000s when the BlackBerry was released. Now, the BlackBerry fits in well with our stereotypical businessman who's always on his BlackBerry trying to make more money. And in 2007 is when this was released, the iPhone, which forever changed the cell phone industry in the country. It basically allowed you to put the entire wealth of human knowledge within your pocket and allowed you to summon it whenever you needed it. Completely revolutionary, and it sold ridiculous amounts of units. The Droid, which is the leading competitor to the iPhone,
Thank you.
sold 1 million units in the first month and a half that it was on the market. An unsuccessful product of Brazil is Walmart. Now, I know it's hard to think of Walmart being unsuccessful anywhere since we live in America, but Walmart tried to expand in Brazil, and they failed miserably. And the reasons for their failure was they failed to understand the Brazilian culture. They didn't understand that just because their prices are low doesn't mean Brazilians want to shop at Walmart. Especially if you think of Brazilians, you know that they're these friendly, outgoing people. They don't want to be contained inside a big, large box full of stuff. They'd rather go to the shopping malls and shopping centers where they live that they already know and trust. And also, Walmart, unlike in America, you can find stuff cheaper than Walmart in Brazil. You can find products from other places, such as community markets and stuff, that were made by hand that are probably cheaper than products from Walmart. And another reason is that there's high tariffs on foreign goods that come into Brazil. So Walmart had difficulty. Also, Walmart located their stores poorly. A lot of the stores were only accessible by car, and although Brazil is a wonderful country, one of the problems with Brazil, which is also a problem in the United States, is infrastructure. The infrastructure, or the roads of Brazil, aren't that good, and traffic is congested all the time. So nobody feels like sitting in traffic for hours just to go to Walmart. And that's why Walmart failed in Brazil. An unsuccessful product of America, I mean, the company's founded in Japan, but its main target audience is Americans, so we figured it would fit, is the Nintendo Wii U, which is a video game system designed to compete with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The Wii, they expected to sell 9 million units by the end of March 2014, and they have sold, in the quarter that ended September 30th, they've sold only 450,000, and 300,000 of those sales came after they dramatically dropped the price. The Wii U is completely unsuccessful, and it has lost the Nintendo Corporation in one quarter alone $81 million. Economically, for a country that's only been a democracy for 10 years, they seem to have a bright future. In 2008, when the global financial crisis happened, Brazil was one of the first countries to recover. Also, their GDP currently stands at $12,100, and in 2010 it grew at a rate of 7.5%, which was the highest rate of growth in Brazil for 25 years. Now, the growth has slowed since then, but still, economically, they seem to have a bright future. A controversy in Brazil's economic policy is the funding of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Although Brazilians are known to like soccer, this project has cost Brazil almost $3.5 billion, and only 12% of ticket sales are going to Brazilians. In 2012, the Confederations Cup, which serves kind of as a dress rehearsal for the World Cup, about 10 teams come over and they play a quick tournament, including the home country, was met with widespread protest. People saying this money should not be spent on soccer. It should be spent on lower bus fares, more doctors in our hospitals, and better roads so we can get to those hospitals. Brazil is continuing to do more and more business internationally. A lot of countries like to invest in Brazil because they have high return interest rates. So you're getting more interest on your money in Brazil than you would in most other countries. Also, they see the ability of Brazil to bounce back from 2008, and they see their continued growth and think Brazil is an area with lots of potential. Economically, America is considered one of the best in the world and has a variety of economic sectors in which the country is successful. The United States, sometimes this leads to a stereotype of materialism, but has a really wide consumer base, and the people of the United States like to buy, which generates lots of revenue for the economy. Also, the economy has a large amount of agricultural aspects to it, especially in the central portion of the company. The United States also has a lot of energy resources that it uses to boost its economy, such as charcoal in the states of Wyoming, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Another major aspect of the United States economy is tourism. People actually love coming to the United States, even though we think everybody hates us. The United States is actually the third most visited country in the world, and last year, or in the last 5 years, about 1.5 billion tourists came to the United States from other countries. The United States is also home to the biggest stock market in the world in New York City, and it's also, as far as charcoal, it also has a lot of oil and natural gas energy resources, along with the mining of coal. Now, why is this important? Why you got to know all this? Why isn't this just waste of time? Well, if you're going to do business internationally, it would kind of help if you knew about the country's economy. For example, if you're going to sell a product in Brazil, you have to understand that it's going to be marked up greatly due to the high tariffs the country has on foreign imports. Also, if you don't know that they have high interest rates, you can miss out on the opportunity to invest in a Brazilian bank and make some money. And if you were thinking, oh, the World Cup, it has lots of views, tons of people watch the World Cup around the world, without knowing that it is met with widespread protests about how the money should be spent, you could put a stain on your company's reputation and well-being in the marketplace by having consumers thumb their noses at you as they realize that you support something that a lot of people don't like. And that's the end of this presentation. I hope you learned something new, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present.